Hi, everyone. It's Patricia Love, your life's cheerleader, and welcome to our once a month question and answer lives where we have two coaches. We have Christine Morgan. Can we say hello, Christine?
Oh, hello, everyone.
And myself, Patricia Love, like I mentioned, and we do this live question and answer every month. And we've also welcomed in our cheer squad members today, whoever wanted to come. And I see we have a few people showing up, so that's wonderful. There's quite a few coming on. That's great. So anyway, we do this, and I wanted to make sure that everybody kind of knew what we did at Life's Cheerleader. And this is a very special benefit to the members of the Life Cheerleader most valuable players, but we wanted to kind of extend it out to the cheer squad and so they could see what we do. So it's pretty exciting. We answer lots of questions. So right now, please put your questions into the chat area. It should be on your right, and we will answer questions, any kind of questions you might have. So what do you think about that, Christine? Does that sound like a good idea?
I think that sounds like a great idea. And I'm thrilled that our tech is working this week. We had a little trouble before, and so, we just made an example of going with the flow.
That is so true. We did have technical sound issues, and we almost had that this morning too, didn't we? But, we cleared that up, and instead we have a little bit of not focus on me, but Miss Christine is completely focused. So one of these days, I'm going to have a very clear camera, and again, I'm not really sure if that's a good idea or bad idea. That's a little bit too HD sometimes for me. So,
well, at least one of us can be focused. I'll be focused, right? Is that how it works?
That's how it works.
I don't think so.
And again, I have Hula Love by my side. For those who don't know Hula Love, I don't know if you can see her at this point, but she does kind of come into sight periodically. So don't be alarmed if you see a tail go behind my head or have a head poke in, because she's definitely part of Life's Cheerleader.
Definitely.
Alrighty, so I see we have a question or two coming up. First off, welcome everybody. And let's see, we have a question. And that question is, what do I do, or how do I get in the habit of exercising on a regular basis? How do I get into the habit? Well,
that's a good question.
I'll start it.
Okay.
Basically, and you said the word habit, and I think a lot of times what we have a problem with is our expectations, and the expectations of maybe trying to exercise like for 2 hours a day, and it becomes overwhelming, rather than really taking just really baby steps. And when I say baby steps, maybe walking for 5 minutes a day, something, or just maybe doing a little bit more exercise, and then every other day or so kind of, maybe do 6 or 7 minutes. I think the expectations overwhelm people, that, oh my God, I got to exercise for a half hour every day. Oh my God, oh my God. And then you kind of do it for 1 or 2 days, and then you stop doing it. A habit becomes formed. And by doing that, it's just by doing a little bit every day. So you get in the habit of doing something, and then pretty soon it becomes commonplace. So can you add on to that a little bit, Christine?
I certainly can. And I love that you mentioned add, because I think that's really a key to this and to any lifestyle changes we want to make. We don't have to be dramatic and change, exactly what you said, I'm going to exercise for even a half hour every day. Well, we set ourselves up for failure, because that's not fun. That's not something we normally do. So what if we think about just adding something in? And we've been talking this month all about this with our new Cheer Fit section in Life's Cheerleader, and we had our Cheer Foot and Challenge. And with that Cheer Foot and Challenge, it was just being aware of taking those moments to add a little bit in. We don't have to do some gigantic thing, but what if we park at the back of the lot? Or what if we become aware of how beautiful it is outside, and so we take a long route to go to the mailbox? Or those different kinds of things that we add in. And you're exactly right, Patricia, then it becomes really fun.
Right, exactly. And if we're talking about exercising, and I will have to tell you that I don't know really anybody except for maybe one or two people that find exercising really fun. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, we do it because it really is a necessity, sometimes because it helps us feel better, which is what we want to do. So we want to create expectations of feeling better, but we want to do it in a baby step way so that you start just can I get in the habit? Like, so if you don't do it, you go, oh, I really feel like I want to go take a walk again. So you think of it in that way and try to just take baby steps in that at all, because that was a great question. So, and it is, like you said, Christine, it's in all of life. And I think we set ourselves up for failure so many times when we have this big, huge goal and then we don't make it, then we feel like we failed.
Exactly. I watched a movie recently that talked about healthy food choices, which is kind of in the same realm. And it talked about, there's all that fear mongering out there about the horrible, white bread, or, all those things that are so bad for us. And so then we get scared and we want to throw everything in our kitchens away and eat organic, right? But they made a really good point in this movie. And they said, instead of trying to change all at once, just add some good stuff. Do that on purpose. And pretty soon it'll push out the bad stuff. We will slowly start letting go of those artificial sweeteners, or, when we brought in more fruits and vegetables, and it's just because our bodies crave it. It's the same with exercise, I think. Our bodies do crave it. It does, it's horrible to try and get out there, but once we've gotten out there, we're like, oh, that felt good, right? Exactly. And so our bodies will crave it, and then we'll start adding more and more.
I'm going to agree with that, because that's exactly what I did as far as in my kitchen. I started adding stuff like more protein, maybe just eating more chicken. I didn't release everything else, because it was one of those things. It was like, oh no, I can't let it go because I'll want it. So I kept it. But after a while, it was like, gosh, I really rather have some fiber, or I really that fruit, because that fruit sweetener, like the pears, like, oh my God, Bartlett pears right now are really sweet. So it tastes good. So I'm getting that. And then I seem to lose some of my cravings, which again, you're right, just by adding things like that. And that's the same thing with the exercise. Add a few minutes, add 5 more minutes, or add a little bit, but don't set yourself up for failure. I want everybody to be able to give themselves a pat on the back every single day, because in realizing how awesome you are, that you just even did a little bit of something. I actually wrote a blog on one thing that's basically said, even if you just write the list of what you're going to do, it's a start, and then you can look at the list the next day, anything to just move forward or take some kind of action.
I do that same kind of thing, but kind of at the reverse. I keep a little log in my phone, and I document when I have done something. So like, ooh, I took a walk today, or ooh, I went to the park, or, those kind of things. And so I love looking at that list of all the things that I've accomplished. And it's like, it's satisfying to me to be able to add it to my list. So we're list makers, Patricia. We can't help it.
Well, you're a better list maker than me. Okay. Let me tell you that, because I do make lots of lists. I just lose my lists. So now we know a negative about me. I am a great list maker, and I am a great planner, and then I can't find them. But but the cool thing is, and I've been told, and I agree with this, is when you write it down, you retain it better.
You do.
So even if I can't find it, look at it, because what's funny? I do find them later on, and I'm like, oh, there it is. And then I'm like, oh yeah, cool. But I know a lot of people journal and love to do this, and that's a great idea. And just because at the end, it just shows you what you kind of accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's a little bit, everybody, that's okay.
Exactly.
It's a little bit of a baby step every time.
Exactly. And I think the key really is about awareness. Patricia and I talk about that all the time, but it's heightening our awareness of when we are spending just kind of hours in a seated position, and heightening our awareness of those times when we do take extra steps or get out moving, or even purposefully exercise.
But you know, it's so funny because we have another question, and it's actually on awareness. And it's like, you know, like, woo. So anyway, it basically, here's the question. How do I become more intuitive and aware of my feelings? And I thought, wow, that's an interesting question. So I will answer it first, and then we'll go to Christine. I would say, in order to get yourself become more aware, because I think what happens is we get in like this, I always call it a hamster treadmill, that we just go. We pick up the kids, we go to the grocery store, we go to work, we're on the phone, and we're just doing everything kind of automatically. And we don't, when we do this, we're like in a tunnel. I think we just go, and we're just focused on what we're doing right there. To become aware, you need to actually stop. Sometimes we just need to stop, and that's even if it's 5 minutes. So I realize that there's a lot of people that say, oh my God, I got these kids and I got this, you know, I can't stop. Well, there's always a place you can go to stop, and that's sometimes just going into the ladies' room or the men's room and closing the door for 5 minutes. That's probably a lot of places. Sounds a little crazy, but a lot of times people don't bother you too much. Now, I have a cat that bothers me periodically, but anyway.
Well, yeah, and kids can too. I know kids love it when you're in the bathroom.
That's true.
What you doing, Mom? What you doing, Mom? But I like where you're headed with this, Patricia, because it's about setting a boundary and really creating that space. And you can train your children that this mom needs 5 minutes. Go out and set the timer on the microwave, and I will be out when that dings.
Oh, that's a very good one. So when you set that timer, even for 5 minutes, by just quieting yourself down, it makes you quiet your mind down, and it really starts to make you more aware. Now, sometimes it takes a little time to do this, so you might have to do 5 minutes a few times a day, or just kind of start getting in the habit of doing that and taking the time. The more you do that, the more aware you are of your surroundings, the more you are aware of what your thoughts are. And that's the key, is just trying to be aware of really what you're thinking, rather than being in a tunnel and just going straight forward because you don't have, you can't get off. Mm-hmm. And you know how sometimes when you just go like, relax at the end of the night, that's that time when maybe you just need some time to yourself and just think about the day and think about your thoughts and your feelings and emotions, and just consciously think about it. And then pretty soon it becomes, your awareness starts to get more alert, I find. What do you think, Christine?
I agree with you. I think one of the other keys for awareness is to turn off technology. We are so tuned in to the outside world that we are losing the ability to tune into ourselves. And when that phone beeps, when the TV's on, it may just be background, but it's still part of your awareness. And so I think it's a really good opportunity to create a habit of turning off that tech for a little bit and really kind of quieting ourselves so that we can check in with what's going on in our brains.
I completely agree. And I know it's so hard to stop, put the phone down. In fact, for the first, I know how many people have done this, where they maybe went down to the store and they forgot their phone and they go into panic mode.
Panic. I know. Even Patricia just saying that made me feel panic.
So it's one of those things that we actually need to really physically set it down. And you know what? I've been doing that lately and not taking the phone with me when I've taken a walk suddenly it becomes like, you know what? The world's going to keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to end if I don't talk to them for 30 minutes.
I know. Isn't it funny how things have changed? Like in the past, our phones were hooked to a wall. You had to.
Well, that's in our age group, okay, girl?
Yeah, well, our ladies are, they know what I'm talking about. But it's like, you would stretch the cord and hopefully run all the way to the bathroom so you could have a little privacy, right? And if you weren't home, there weren't even answering machines. If you weren't home, the phone just rang 20 times.
That's so true. It's amazing. And this, what's crazy, this has all happened probably in the last 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. I mean, because I remember having pagers and things like that. I could just turn it off, so it is amazing. So I think you're right. We just need to really learn to set your phone down and turn it off. And that's actually a great time if you have children or a spouse or a partner, that you just have time and make that maybe dinner time or lunchtime or coffee time, any kind of time that you take off and turn the phone off for just 15, 20 minutes. That's how you become aware.
Yeah, I think so. And I think sometimes it can be a little daunting to sit sit with yourself. And so, if you picture, oh my gosh, sitting in the bathroom for 5 minutes without my phone, and when I can hear the kids out in the other room, like how am I going to become aware? But there are certain things you could this is kind of a fun thing to do. I don't know how adults feel about coloring.
Love to color.
Coloring is, there's a really magical thing that it does in your brain. And I think the socially acceptable way for adults to color is now with all of the new mandalas. Like draw and trace, kind of like walking a labyrinth. We can draw, trace, color. It engages our brain in a really relaxed way. So we're kind of tuning out, but at the same time, we are able to check in with ourselves when we do some type of activity like that.
Oh, I think that's a great idea, because I know I enjoy drawing, and sometimes it's not a pretty drawing, but it's just, a flower or something that just kind of takes my mind and I refocus, which really quiets the mind down. And then you start to get more intuitive, as the question was, about not only yourself, but everything around you. And the more you do this, and this is habits, or first off being aware, but creating kind of habits to do this and taking action to do that. And really, when I say taking action, is just stop and do it, because that's what starts it all, because the action will create the habit, and the habits will create, and everything just starts to flow and work together. So, and that's actually another question. I think that's what I brought it up, is like, how do I get started? Okay, so now I can get there, but I'm kind of direct. Yeah, just start.
No, we just start.
That seems a little bit forward, but I just did a post today that said, life offers us so many things. There's no limits to what life offers us, except time itself. And time is the only thing that limits us. And so we truly don't want to wait till tomorrow. And I think about this on a regular basis, as time is limited. And to me, that's what propels me to take some action. Because I don't want to be here tomorrow and saying I did something, I should have done that 3 days ago or a week ago, when in reality, I knew I could. Yeah. And again, it's just, and I think sometimes to answer this question, is I think sometimes the starting is daunting because you've created such a huge, overwhelming, maybe action. Maybe it's I got to lose 30 pounds before my reunion, or I need to get this whole big project done, you know, in 3 weeks or something. You put this on yourself sometimes, and I think it goes back to expectations again. That we just start taking some action, and that's just starting, just doing something. How about you? I like to throw that back at you, Christine.
Yeah, I think I know for me, I freeze up and I struggle with getting started when I have expectations of perfection. When I think it's got to be a certain way, it's got to look a certain way, or I've created a really big goal and it freezes me. And so I think to get started for me, I have to start with self-compassion. I have to start with extending grace to myself and telling myself this doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exactly what I want it to be in my head. I just have to do something, because doing something is better than doing nothing. And so it'll get better and better. I'll learn from everything. I think that's a key, that like the fear of failure can really freeze me up. And like, oh, it's not going to be right, and so I might as well not do it at all. But I think if I focus on things being a learning experience, like what am I going to learn from this and take to the next step, then that helps unfreeze me and that helps me get going.
Yes, I agree. I wouldn't probably consider myself a perfectionist. Some people might, but I actually understand what you're saying, because it does freeze us up when we think we're not going to do it just right. What I have been learning is that by just starting, that I am not perfect, and this also becomes about awareness and realizing that, you know what, I'm not perfect, but at least if I just start it and move forward, it seems to lose the fear a lot. And I don't freeze up as much as I used to, because I'm also now trying to look at more of the outcome down the line of what could it be? What is the possibilities? What if it's not perfect? It's okay. Gosh, it's, 20 steps ahead of where I was. Mm-hmm. So I start looking at things that way, and that really helps me, because I have frozen up in the past with fear, because I'm scared. And that might be somewhat a perfectionist type of thing. Your fear of failure, fear of not looking good, fear of not being perfect. And I really have worked on that a lot. And it still comes up, and it will always, but it gets better and better once we realize that, gosh, if I just kind of start it and realize that I can adjust if it's not quite right. I'll adjust things along the way, and that could be kind of fun. So, I try to look at it a different perspective. And I say this quote all the time from Wayne Dyer, but if I change the way I look at things, the things I look at change. And so when I start fearing, getting fearful, or I feel like I'm freezing, I say that out loud to myself and try to look at things in a little bit different perspective. So.
Yeah. And I have a really practical exercise I could share.
Oh, I'd love that.
Okay. So one of the things I do with my clients when they come to me with a really big goal and then they have no idea how to get going on that goal, we do a little drawing. And so what you do is you draw a circle, and then you split that circle into 8 wedges, like 8 pie pieces. So you draw like a cross and an X in your circle, and it gives you 8 pieces. So in that circle represents your goal, what you want to get started on. And so what I would like you to do then is tell me 8 different things that would be involved in getting started. And so that's a way to break it up, because sometimes when I ask somebody, hey, what's your first step? Let's focus on your first step. They say, I have no idea. This is so big, I have no idea what to do. So we break it up into a bunch of different wedges. And then you can take each of those wedges and break them up into a whole new circle. So let's say I want to run a new class. That's something I'm doing. So I put in this circle all the different things that I need to do to run that class. I need to promote it. I need to write curriculum. I need to, get people to sign up, those kind of things, right? And so then I take those and I break those into pieces and I say, okay, well, what is it that I want to do to what are the steps that I have to create or have to follow to create curriculum? And we can do that with any goal we have, even if it's something like lose 30 pounds. Well, what are the steps involved in losing 30 pounds? And maybe each of those wedges is 5 pounds. And so what would it take to lose 5 pounds? So even though I'm not a big weight loss person, I was just trying to come up with a practical example, but because it could be a goal for somebody. Those are the things, that's a way to engage our brains into breaking things down into steps.
Yes, I've actually used the what they call it, the wheel of life, or
yeah, that's a different one. Coaches love wheels.
Yeah, and I've actually done that myself, and it really does simplify things and make you understand maybe where you need a little bit extra help too in some cases. So that's just one of the things we do at Life's Cheerleader also. So we help. Sometimes people, figure that out. So anyway, I think that's a great exercise, and I hope people will do that and just, put their life into 8 different wedges and break it down and simplify things. And I think that's the key here. And I think this, through the whole kind of line of what we've been talking about today, is simplifying, keeping it simple. In fact, I just had a great interview with Shira Maloney from Simple Steps, Real Change. And what a great interview that was. So, and that's when you're part of Life's Cheerleader, you get to take a look at that. But it was a great interview about keeping things very simple. And I love that. And so everybody just needs to keep things simple, take one step at a time, baby steps, whether it's being about awareness and not creating such high expectations that you freeze up and you get fearful.
Right. We have to remember to extend grace. I think that's the key. Like, be compassionate with ourselves, treat ourselves the way we would treat our friends, and have empathy and compassion for us as we walk this journey, letting go of those expectations.
Yes, loving yourself is the first key. And because I really believe that if I don't love myself, I can't love anybody else fully. So I've worked on that for years, and I think I'll probably continually work on this. And life is just a journey, so we're never ever going to be perfect in every areas, but we can grow and be better and realize we have gifts to offer. And you find those things out when you start to love and you start to care about yourself. And as you said, you start giving yourself grace, which is such an important piece on everything. So, that's, I'm loving the questions. We had so many people on today. We're just about ready to wind up here. It's just about 10:30. But I want to just, if anybody have any other quick questions. Christine, do you have anything to say, any last minute words of wisdom?
I think I'm tapped out. I'm just kidding.
That's very rare. Okay.
I can always come up with something.
I know. I'm always throwing things at her. So anyway, so hopefully everybody enjoyed our live Q&A. We do this once a month, and it's a great way to get questions answered. We're live coaches. We're coaches live that are willing to answer your questions. And that's just part of one of our great benefits at lifescheerleader.com. So that's it. And I'm going to say cheerio and toodles, and we'll talk soon to everybody. And Christine, thanks for joining me. And I'm glad to have joined you. And so there you go.
Thanks, everybody. See you on the inside.
Take care now. Bye-bye.